welcome back to another impactful night of the Impact Education Leadership. This is episode 172. I'm your host, ID3 for Isaac Durham Thursday. Tonight's panelists are Dr. Kelly Brown, Buddy Thornton, Possible Change Agent Pro, and Estee Marie. Buddy Thornton, please say hello to the people.
Good evening, everybody, and I am thrilled to be here with these panel mates. It sounds like this is going to be a tremendous conversation.
Absolutely. And Dr. Kelly Brown, please say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Dr. Kelly Brown. I am excited to be here and join in on this conversation.
Wonderful. And the one and only Estee Marie, please say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I am so excited to be here with these wonderful, knowledgeable people on this panel.
Incredible. Well, tonight's topic is transformation of higher relationship intelligence. I want to do something different before we get started tonight. I want to go around the panel and introduce all the panelists and let the listeners know where they're from. Let's start with Buddy Thornton. Buddy Thornton, Possible Change Agent Pro. Tell the listening audience who you are and where you're from, sir, and what you do.
I live in the Phoenix metropolitan area in Arizona, but I travel nationwide and work nationwide with clients. And this topic is just hitting me right in my wheelhouse. So I'm just thrilled to be here.
Oh, we're so glad to have you back, sir. Well, we're just going around the panel introducing everyone. And with that being said, Estee Marie, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing currently.
Yes, I would love to. Hello. So I'm Estee Marie. I am an arts integration specialist over here in Southern California. I love the arts. Arts saved my life, and I help educators bring arts into their classroom to make it more fun. And I also help individuals bring art into their lives just to heal and to be whole.
Powerful. And Dr. Kelly Brown, one and only, please tell us what you're doing and what you got going on currently.
Hello. I am currently here in the Houston area. I am an assistant professor at Lamar University. I have, and my focus is working with schools and districts and, of course, my students to help build better and more equitable systems for our marginalized and minoritized learners. I have 3 edited books that I have published about equity in education and school transformation and leadership in general. And I am looking forward again to being part of this conversation and so enjoy the panelists as well with all of their expertise.
Absolutely fabulous. And Dr. Chanel Green, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on currently.
So hello, everyone. I am Dr. Chanel Green, and I am a dancer primarily, but I also do leadership and wellness coaching where I utilize dance, somatic movement, and the arts to help people to lead creatively, to connect with team building, as well as just be able to connect to their own wellness and release stress using dancing.
Oh yeah, tonight, please share this podcast with as many people as you can. I think tonight is going to be a night where we transition from brokenness to healing and from healing to wholeness. Tonight's topic is transformation of higher relationship intelligence, because we haven't been taught to heal and take control of the emotions that could shape our lives with dangerous after effects. Often this hurts too much, hurts when it shouldn't, hurts when we should have healed by now. When you can't have that one person or thing you want, you feel so crushed and dismayed, especially when they keep pushing you away. You keep giving them another chance, but they keep treating you the same way. But you're so in love with the image of what could have been, and now your heart is so open, and sadness has crept in. It entered in like fog, and now you're in a mixed reality that feels so true, but it's abusing you. It's abusing you with the reoccurring trauma day in and day out. seems like a spinning wheel turning in time, and you're losing your grip, you're losing control, and it seems that you're never going to get it through. You're never going to get through to that place where you can think yourself clear. Managing those challenges is something that we're going to be talking about tonight. Managing those challenges, because it comes down to social emotional intelligence at the end of the day, in a way that builds you from your experiences, your relationships, your connections, your support systems, and that what helps you to balance not only your mindset, but your community with those shared experiences that leads you to higher expectations, not only for yourself, but also for the people in your system, your support system, in your community. And tonight we're going to talk about how to manage not getting too angry by activating core strengths, usually through positive support systems that allow people to build and hunt for the good stuff. First, I want to go to Buddy Thornton. Buddy Thornton, Positive Social Change Agent Pro. What was the first thought that came to your mind when you got the topic for tonight, sir?
The first thing that I was really circling around was how relationship intelligence is mischaracterized in today's society, and I think that is an extension of the pain the entire globe felt because of the pandemic. I think the pandemic blunted our ability to have strong face-to-face relationships and pivoted everyone toward a more non-traditional digital relationship type of a dynamic. And because the digital space doesn't have verbal cues only, and you can't find the nonverbal cues that you can when you're looking at someone face to face across the table or when you're in the same room. I think that relationship intelligence took a big hit, and I think the biggest thing is that we need to start addressing that as one of the root causes of how the divisive society has evolved.
Absolutely, absolutely. To me, the topic tonight was so fascinating. It was so fascinating because my thing was when you're dealing with high relationship intelligence, everyone doesn't have magnetism. Everyone doesn't have the high levels of magnetism to attract people. Let me go to Dr. Kelly Brown. What was the first thought that came to your mind when you got the topic for tonight?
I think the first thing that came to my mind when we're talking about relationships, just in relation to the work that I do, is thinking about community. A lot of the work that I do with schools is to try and make sure that they are building a solid relationship with the community as well, so that it's a reciprocal relationship, right? And so what's happening with their children, with families, that there is this strong connection. And especially when Buddy was talking about the effects of the pandemic, that I think that has become even more important now, that we are building those solid relationships outside of the school with the community as well as inside of the school, to make sure that together we're able to, I don't want to say go back to where we were, but to build a better future and better systems where everybody has a voice and everyone's voice is honored.
Absolutely. When you said that about community, that was so epic. That was so powerful. And the first two things I thought about was, especially now when we talk about community, we talk about what's desirable. Because if we didn't talk about what was desirable, we would just hone in on the problem. And the problem are those drawbacks of when we're trying to do something positive in the community, but then something happens like police brutality. Something happens like black on black crime. Something happens like racism. Something happens like those microaggressions that plague our system day in and day out. And Estee Marie, you are an artist, and you express emotions through art. What was the first thought that came to your mind when you got the topic for tonight?
The first thing that came to my mind when I saw the topic of tonight, I was thinking about just people's ability to be self-aware, because that self-awareness piece is key in any type of relationship. Because if you yourself are not aware of where you are having that emotional intelligence, any relationship that you try and engage in is going to be off. And I thought about the work that I do, and relationship is like one of the first pillars in my framework, is working on the relationship piece. So I was really excited when I saw the topic of tonight.
Absolutely. And I was too. When, I want to appeal to your psyche, panelists and listeners. I want to appeal to your psyche. I want to appeal to your psyche in a way that will cause you to think yourself clear. And I want to open up the panel with this question, because I want to appeal to your psyche, because we all have superheroes, but all of our superheroes are not the same person. And so I want to go around the panel really quick, and I want to ask, who was your superhero, and why did you choose them to be your superhero? Who wants to take that first?
Okay, I'm going to twist it a little bit, because I specifically have really tried not to put any one person like on a pedestal, so to speak, because I think that it makes me think about well, nobody is perfect, right? And so we're all human and everybody has flaws. But when I think about the people that I've looked up to, it is those people who are really authentic, right? And who are able to be vulnerable, who are able to be themselves in private places and in public places. And of course, the first people that I think about are my parents, my family, my parents, my own children, who are all considered my heroes, because I learn from them each day and they help me grow. They're the ones who will be honest with me in a way that helps me be better. And they're the ones that are also honest with themselves when they're hurting, or when they need help, or when they need support. So specifically, I don't know if I can name one superhero, but I will say that I try and get inspiration and strength and growth from so many places. Even people that probably don't like me, I can still learn something from, right? Because I feel like everybody that I run into, or everything that I experience, can be a lesson, and the best lessons are done in relationships. So I hope that kind of answers it.
That was absolutely powerful. And I want to park the car right there real quick, because I want to be transparent. When I first got into the Army, I was advancing in rank very quickly. I had a lot of people looking up to me. I was in charge of my whole platoon. And when I went to Fort Hood, Texas, I got hit with 2 deaths. My grandfather died. Well, my dad died first, and 1 week later, my dad died. My dad died first, and then 1 week later, my grandfather died. And so they put me on suicide watch. And the only thing I could think of was, wow, I got all these people looking up to me, family members included. And I was like, if I go crazy, will you still call me Superman? Will you still call me Superman? But anyway, the panel was open. I had to share that. You pulled it out of me. Who is your superhero, going around the panel, and why did you choose that person to be your superhero?
I'll jump in so the other two can still consider their answers. But I work a lot with people who are damaged. When Kelly said everyone's imperfect, I think that goes almost without saying that there's no such thing as perfection. There was only one possible person who was ever perfect in this world, and we crucified him. So, you got to understand that there's a lot of angst in perfection versus imperfection. But my superheroes constantly come out of the victims that I work with, as I see them grow out of victimology into self-alignment, develop grit and persistence, and overcome the barriers that they were psychologically placed within, because that's a struggle that is unique to each individual, and they have to develop a sense of self. I start with the 4 pillars, and of course, you know, my first pillar is always my life, which means you have to understand yourself, your purpose, your strengths, your weaknesses. You have to understand everything you can about you, just like what they do on the airplane. But if the masks fall down, place yours on your face before you try to help anyone else. Well, in this world, when I see a victim become champion, that's a superhero. That's a hero above reproach. You can't even look at them without empathizing with the path they took and the strength that they show and their ability to project that to other people. And, each time I come across a new victim and I see them climb out of that space and be empowered, it just re-energizes me to believe that can happen for everybody, all victims. So that's my definition of a superhero, not one specific superhero.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Who's next?
This is Estee Marie. I will jump in here. I definitely would have to say that my superheroes are other artists. The artists who are able to take the ugliness that they've been through and use it in a way to create something beautiful. Those are my heroes. Those who have been able to just take a bad situation and make it something that others can learn from, make it something that others can pull hope and strength from. That's who my heroes are. It's the artists. My heroes are also the marginalized students who show up every day and are trying. Those are my heroes.
Love it, love it, love it.
And this is Chanel Green. And I would say, for an ultimate hero, I would say that would be more so based off of my faith, as someone else has mentioned. But when I look at that gives me this power of knowing even for myself that I can endure, or how I can even be a light to others. And when I'm able to see that light in others, I believe that gives me this idea of who are even the heroes that I see on a regular basis, whether that's between students or different clients that I see. But then I also want to connect with what Estee said about artists, because for me as a dancer, specifically as a Black woman dancer, when I see other dancers who are Black, who may even are that representation for me, that's my heroes, because I know for sure what it's like firsthand to be in a setting and to not see myself represented. And so to be able to see that's inspiration to me, that's a drive to me, that lets me know that I can even share that with others per se.
Oh, it's getting good tonight. I told you it was going to be good. Not getting too angry, but activating core strengths is usually identified through positive support systems that allow teams to remember past misperceptions, apply the right approach to the movement. I said movement, but I meant moment, and co-create a better way to work together in the future. This can only happen, I feel like, because the panel is still open. This can only happen, I feel like, when you're able to unlock your hidden power. Tonight's topic is transformation of higher relationship intelligence. And my next question is, across the board, how do you teach someone, or how do you learn yourself? You can share a story, but how do you teach someone, or how do you do it yourself? How do you unlock your hidden powers? Who wants to take that first?
This is Estee Marie. I will jump in here. How do you unlock your hidden power? I think one of the major things in unlocking your hidden power is spending that time alone with yourself. And I know for a lot of people, that's hard. It was hard for me to sit still with yourself. Because sometimes silence is loud. But in that stillness, I believe that's when you're able to really address a lot of the traumas and triggers and things that hold you back from even giving yourself permission to step into the power. Because a lot of times it's not that the power's not there. It's not that you don't know what it is. A lot of times we just don't feel worthy enough or feel like we have permission. We haven't given ourselves permission to step into it. And I'll stop right there.
You have to be able to identify the passion in your heart, because once you identify the passion in your heart and you combine that with your level of self-awareness, that empowers you to break through barriers and set aside misgivings, microaggressions, and anything else that comes your way.
This is Kelly. I'll jump in to kind of follow up with what both of them said. I really appreciated the notion of silence because there's so much noise in the world that sometimes going within can be scary, or separating can be scary. But the scary things are what make us better and stronger. To add to that, I also think tapping into and again, I didn't mean to continue this theme of community, but tapping into that is, I think that a lot of times when we're building our relationship intelligence, it takes us being quiet and listening more, listening to what people say, their intent, and also listening to their heart, so that we can truly start to understand everybody else's stories and their experiences and how they've shaped who they are. And I think that helps us to be more emotionally intelligent, empathetic, and also helps build relationships when you know that somebody is listening to you in a way that is centering you as opposed to centering themselves.
You know, this podcast ain't even started yet, and it's already, oh my goodness, we hadn't even started with the questions. Okay, who's next?
This is Chanel Green. I would just say, just kind of continuing with this idea of the power of silence, kind of stepping into this idea of self-awareness and what that may look like. I know even for myself as a dancer, there's different ways that I can manage that, but I believe that when we have this self-awareness of ourselves, of our bodies, of our minds, that can then help us to guide us to what those passions may be, what those purposes may be, and that leads to some form of power, or that unlocks it at least. And sometimes we may need to even step out of, per se, or move out of that silence to where it may lead us to other forms of community that may help us to actually develop even more what that power may be.
Ooh, listen, you got to share this with a friend. You share this with people that don't even like you, because they're going to need to hear all the gems that were dropped tonight. We talked about self-reflection, but then we also talked about victimology. But Thornton, Positive Change is a problem. I want to go to you. I'm coming down your lane. Now, we call you the Positive Social Change Agent Pro for a reason. And we have a high expectation from you, sir, that you're going to deliver. And so my question for you tonight is, how do you heal first and then create a coping system to help you value and manage future healthy relationships to become your best self? That's my question for you, sir.
First, you have to really understand that it really depends on your environment and your willingness to participate in universal positive regard. You can't anchor on blaming, shaming, and judging others without considering your contribution to any situation. It's like forgiveness. You can't forgive anybody until you understand your part in whatever created the need for forgiveness. And then you have to be able to forgive yourself, and you have to be able to show others that you know you created part of the problem. That's number one. You can't heal others, and you can't heal yourself until you're willing to accept that you are always going to contribute to any issue in your environment. That's not saying I'm blaming a victim. What I'm saying is how you react to being a victim is still on you. It's not, nobody else can tell you what you do. Choice theory is very, very specific. You control your heart, your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotion, but you do not have the right to control anybody else's. So you have to use that as your foundation. Relationship intelligence is a combination of social intelligence, and kids start, once they have abstract thinking skills around age 12, they only look at two things. They want to know where they fit in the universe, and they want to know how to socially interact with other people. So social intelligence starts around age 12. Cultural intelligence really depends on your exposure to other cultures, but we have micro and macro cultures. You can have different micro cultures within the same city. I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth is a good example. You probably have 30 to 40 different micro cultures within that one metropolitan area. Emotional intelligence is something that you have to really work on. You have to understand that you have to self-regulate. That depends on your locus of control. It depends on your willingness to show restraint. And the last intelligence that ever applies, to be honest with you, is the IQ. How smart you are does not play into relationship intelligence. Your willingness to engage in universal positive regard is more important. There's really only two things to relationships. Number one is expectations and false imagery versus the reality of what is actually happening. When we respond in a negative way to relationships, there's only one way we're going, and that's we're being too assertive and we're anchoring on the expectations. When we're having a really good relationship situation, it's because we're being cooperative and we're looking at the other person. We're being altruistic. We expect a little bit of reciprocity because if we're going to treat them right, we want them to treat us right. And then that has to be sustainable by both parties, or even if there's more parties than two, all the parties in a relationship, there has to be a unity over time. You know, collaborating is leveraging a balance between asserting your expectations with the cooperativeness and the ability to understand your expectations stop where reality starts. You have to anchor on reality, and you can build your expectations only on reality, not on unreality. And that's really, that's where you start. Heal yourself first. Understand that you have to build a framework. The coping system is you don't blame, shame, or judge because you have universal positive regard. Everyone starts at a high level, not a low level. Nobody has to earn respect. Everyone gets respect until they lose it. So if you value others, and as David Hume said, there has to be value in being. You don't have to do anything to earn value because you exist. So by being, you have value. So if you treat others with value because you know they exist, they're real, they're right there, you can put your hand out and you can feel them. You can interact with them. Now do everything you can to make all of their passions and all their dreams come true, and then just gently ask them, subconsciously, consciously, emotionally, to respect and try to support your dreams. That's how you build relationships. I've been married 49 years, and the reason we've been married that long is because I take care of what I know her hopes and dreams are, and she takes care of mine. It's not about me, it's about we. The relationship always is the third party in the room, and it has more power than any individual in the relationship. That's how you build a healthy, long-term relationship.
See, you're forcing me to open the panel again, because you're so transparent, and I feel naked. I feel naked because I want some questions to be answered. I know the listeners want to know these questions. I know they want to know the answer to these questions. And my question is, why are so many people still single? Why are there so many people single? What's his name? Wayne Dyer. He said, you do not attract what you want, but you attract what you are. You attract what you are. And so we're attracting people because that's who we are, but that's not what we want. And so the fact is, statistically, the fact is we are single. We're single maybe because we have high expectations and this person doesn't meet those expectations. But the panel is open. I want to know, why are there so many people still single? With all the technology, with all the social media platforms, with all the different ways that we can connect with people now, but yet we're still single. Who wants to take that first?
I'll jump in just to make it really short and then let the ladies build upon this crescendo, this Picasso. We're still single. The majority of people who are single because they have created this image in their mind of what perfect would be. And they're not willing to understand that because humans are universally imperfect, you have to start with imperfect, expect to end with imperfect, and it's not settling, it's creating a masterpiece that fits within your reality. And I think the artists in our panel tonight will be able to build on that. So I'm going to let them take over from here.
Oh, that was good. Who's next?
I'll go ahead and jump in right there. This is Estee Marie. And really, I think why many people are single is because the creativity really is gone from many minds. There's, like you said, there's this image that's been presented to the masses. And I really think social media has become more of a hindrance than a help in this matter, because while, yes, you can connect with people, and that's wonderful, what I've noticed and what I've seen is this whole idea of like cancel culture and eliminating people after one mistake. And it's like, okay, we cut them off, on to the next. And you're never going to be able to build a healthy, sustainable relationship if as soon as somebody makes a mistake, you're cutting them out of your life and you're eliminating them. Like there's no room for anything to grow in that sense. And these false ideas of perfect that we have in our mind because we're scrolling through social media, looking at one person's presentation that they're giving to the world, even though that's not their reality, that's just the snippet that they're choosing to show you. Many people are basing their goals off of one person's illusion. So it makes it difficult for anything to really come together and flourish. I'll stop there.
And you know, I realize that question appeals to the love languages. And what I mean by the love languages, I think there are 5 love languages that we know about based off of different books, like quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, physical touch. But I feel like we don't have those relationships, and there's so many single people because we try to avoid or avoid conflict. But the panel is still open. Who wants to take that question? Why are there still so many single people?
Well, one thing you need to understand, the ancient Greeks were pretty smart people. We don't give them as much credit as we should, but they define love in 8 different quadrants, 8 different types of love, all the way from super passionate love, family love, love of your neighbor, love of your friend. They had 8 different words for love, and their reasoning was that there's no way to affirmatively define love in one sphere. You can't. There's too many vectors that apply to love, and you can love somebody and be angry with them at the same time, which is something that the Greeks were one of the earliest civilizations to acknowledge that and put it out there that, hey, I love you, but I might have to kill you. So, I mean, it was a harsh environment they lived in, but that extends into today's reality. We're in an environment where people have lost a lot of their interaction skills as opposed to relationship skills. And they built up all these false images in their head, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, that, well, I'm going to be able to do this when the pandemic settles down, or I'm going to be able to do that, or if I work on this, I'm going to be able to do that. They didn't take the time to ask anybody else if that's what they wanted. You know, you have to be able to ask somebody exactly what they want, and you have to be able to deliver on that ask. And that's completely missing from the dynamic.
Woo. Okay. We are in deep waters. We're on the boat. We about to come back a little bit. Let's go back. Because we went deep. Let me go to Dr. Chanel Green. Dr. Chanel Green, tell us now a little bit about what you're doing currently in your field and what you're doing in the community as it relates to the young people and dance and all the endeavors that you are working on currently now.
So currently with my business, Shanae Arts, we are kind of looking at this idea of how to apply this wellness, so the different parts of wellness, whether that's emotional, mental, physical, even spiritual, how to actually connect that to our entire beings. And then 2, we also even have a faith-based component for those that prefer that way of having an outlet or even learning on how to process different types of emotions and things like that. I'm a firm believer in one, just like Estee kind of stated about the arts, about the power of the arts, even as she mentioned how the arts saved her, it's the same way with me with dance. And so being able to use dance as a tool or even as a wellness method, as a pathway for people to be able to understand how to process those difficult times. Even though sometimes people say, well, I'm not a dancer and things like that. Even to the entire panelists, if we all take a deep inhale and exhale, we all have just moved ourselves, like our bodies are living beings. So being able to incorporate even our emotions and how we feel outwardly by using movement, that helps one to be able to acknowledge their emotions, process their emotions, even go through different traumatic processes, that therapeutic experience. And so dance is definitely one of those tools that we use for that, as well as just even some of the social traumas that we deal with. That's important, being able to understand, to see that from a different visual perspective, per se, overall in the world.
Guys, I know we're almost out of time. I'm enjoying this so much. I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying this. But let me go to Estee Marie really quick, and I want to ask this question to you. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? What's your story? What's your why?
Yes. My why is essentially art saved me. I was a high-functioning depressed person. So when you looked at me, all the things that looked like it should be together, it looked together. I was the straight A student. I was playing varsity sports. I was showing up every day doing what I knew I was supposed to do. But because of the different things that I experienced, childhood traumas and different things, I did not like myself. So there's this whole aspect of self-love that I did not have. And that's something that I was able to develop through the arts and through arts education, which is why I'm so passionate about making sure that all students have access to this, because it was in that 8th grade class where something in me lit up when I figured out, oh, so I can use a metaphor and I can actually talk about what it is that I'm feeling without saying directly what I'm feeling. Like, it gave me a different way to be able to express things until I was in the space where I could openly say, hey, this happened. But art gave me that outlet. Art gave me that ability to be able to process through what it is I was feeling, because especially as a kid, I didn't have words for it. I didn't know what it was that I was feeling, but I knew it was something. But that art piece gave me the ability to tap into what I was feeling, and then as I continued to grow and continue to learn, be able to hone into that and to get myself free. And then I had another experience in my adulthood life. When my mother passed, I wasn't expecting that. That was an unexpected thing for me. So my mind was just blown. However, I was able to tap into my creative ability and process through using what I knew about the psychology of color and the emotional values of color. I was able to process through a whole lot of what I was feeling and able to grieve through art. And so it's my mission at this point in life to make sure that art education is available to all students. And that's really my focus in the work that I'm on right now, is making sure that no matter what subject you teach, there's a way to integrate art in there so that your students have an outlet. Because if it wasn't for that class, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Listen, I'm so grateful for this panelist tonight. This panel tonight is legendary. I want to ask the same question to Dr. Brown, Dr. Kelly Brown. What's your why? What is your why?
Thank you for the question. And I'm reflecting on each of the questions that you ask. And for this one, I'll have to say that I think my why over time has changed as I've grown. But right now, currently, I think about everything revolving around my children. And so my why is making sure that I can, through education, which that's my background and my strength, try and advocate for them and make sure that I'm working with other leaders to make sure that no matter where they go to school or whose child that they're touching, that they're in the best place. They're my why because they encourage me to work on myself so I can be better and so that I can grow, and to set an example for them for whenever I am triumphing or when I am going through my down phase or when I'm struggling, that I can communicate that and let them see each part of that, so that it helps them learn how to cope. Me going for my dreams with my writing and my research and my books, to encourage them to be able to pursue their dreams as well, and doing whatever I can to help them with that. I know that whenever the time comes that they're going to be my legacy, and I want to make sure that everything that I think about and that I do is not only for them, but also for myself, so that they also learn that you have to take care of you as well, because you have to take care of you and be in a relationship with yourself so you can be whole for whatever relationship or whatever else is to come.
That was so important, and we so need to hear that. Let me. We almost out of time. We are. Let me go back. Let me go back to Estee Marie real quick, because this is so good. This is so good. Would you be the person that you are today if you had never gone through these challenges? You talked about stuff that I right now I couldn't even handle half of the things that you went through. It would break me. It would break me. I'm not. I know I could get ready, but right now I'm not ready. And so, what would you tell the listening audience as it relates to? Because you talked about your why, but would you be the person you are today if you hadn't gone through those challenges that you went through? Because you went through it, you're not stuck in it. You went through it, and so not only are you resilient, but you're also more than a conqueror. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, we always hear like the challenges and obstacles that we go through shape who we are. Without the things that I've been through, I know for a fact I wouldn't be who I am today, because each experience that I went through shaped my mind in a certain way. It shaped my thought process. It shaped how my outlook on the world was. And even when I was looking at the world through my victim lens, I had to come into contact with certain things that shook me, shook my perspective, and allowed me to change and grow. So being able to go through these things all have given me the perspective that I have now, allowed me to look at people through the lens that I have now, knowing that nobody's perfect, that everybody is coming with their own set of things that they've been through. So it's given me the chance to grow. It's given me the chance to experience hardship. But if you don't ever experience hardship, do you really know what joy is? If you don't ever experience pain, do you know what it is to feel good? So,
and you talked about and you talked about pain, and the first person that came to your mind, and I don't even know her, was your mom. And that type of relationship, you only get one mom, and how you treat your mom when she's there, you only get another. You don't have any more chances. That's it.
Right.
And so how did you use your art to build relationships and communicate emotions from your struggles that you had to fight with? I want to hear this. There are so many artists listening to you right now and musicians, and I want to know, how do you use, and we want to know, how do you use your art to build relationships, and how do you use your art to communicate, to have a language of communication to the people that saw it?
So really, visual art is a way that you can communicate without words. Like, you cannot speak the same language as somebody and put a picture in front of them and communicate with them. And that's how you, like, the relationship gets built in the connection, the shared human experience. Like, the message that comes through the image is powerful. And even without visual images, like, I'm also a spoken word artist, and so being able to convey messages with words and choosing the right words is very powerful, and it can pull emotions from people. So being able to talk about something that maybe someone may feel they don't have the power to say. Like, I have my poetry collection, These Dry Bones, and there were so many messages that I got from people who read my collection, and they said, wow, I've never been able to tell anybody of these things that I've been through, but you talked about it in this book, and it made me feel free. Like, I can now say something to someone. And so just being able to use art as a way to give voice to the voiceless is how you can build community and build relationships, and you can share those emotions that many people are experiencing, but maybe too afraid to share.
You know what? Listen. We about to go deep. We out of time, but we about to go deep. Dr. Brown, I'm coming down your lane. Because we've been talking about community pretty much all night. We've been talking about community. But the marginalized community, see, that's something else, because you make movements. You are a change agent. You're a mover and a shaker. And there's so many other people out there like that and like you. But yet we still are wrestling with this marginalized community, this community that's not going forward. They're not going forward. I'm sorry. They're going backwards. They're going backwards politically. They're going backwards socially. They're going backwards economically. They're going backwards. They don't have those services. They don't have those resources. And they are deprived. They're deprived. They're deprived of those resources that I was just talking about. They're deprived of services. They're deprived of new facilities. Education is deprived. They are below the average. They are considered at the bottom of the barrel. These marginalized communities. And I'm about to hit you with this. Okay? If we were boxing, I'm gonna knock you in the popcorn section with what I'm about to say. If this continues, these marginalized communities will be no more because they will become extinct. They will kill themselves. And I'm sorry to say that on the impact of educational leadership, but that's love, and it's tough love. And Dr. Kelly Brown, I got a question for you. My question is this: how would you inspire your community to transform to a higher level of relationship intelligence? And you can share a personal story, but we're thirsty. We're so thirsty right now, and we need to know, what's your thoughts?
Well, thank you for asking. And I guess I'm going to start with, for those of you who may not be able to see me or know who I am, but I really, and I don't want this to sound cliche, but I really rest on the shoulders of my ancestors and my people. And when you say extinction, I have a hard time seeing that, because when I think about history and all of the things that we've come through and that we have overcome, and I identify as Black, that we are such a strong, we're survivors, right? No matter what is going on, and we've had political strife in the past, and we will have it in the future. But the fact that we are here means that somebody survived something for us to be here. And not only one person, but generations, right? This is generational. And I know that leaning into community, someone earlier talked about the village. And I think when we talk about growing and expanding and making sure that that we are moving towards thriving, if not already there, I'll speak to that again in a moment, that I think we really have to rest on our village, right? And that is going to be all about relationships, being in community with each other and supporting each other, and being honest with each other, being reflective with each other, and holding people accountable so that we can grow, right? Buddy, I think, talked earlier about forgiveness, and all of that is going to play a part, but we also have to be able to advocate for ourselves. We also have to be able to advocate for others, and stand on values and stand for, what's right and what's wrong, and be vocal and not afraid. The other thing that I would say, as we're thinking about relationships, is then also knowing where, when you talked about like your why, where our why comes from, right? Because when I think about families, and when I think about various communities, happiness comes from different places, right? And so there's one thing to say that if you get X, Y, and Z that you can be happy, but then someone who has X, Y, and Z may be very unhappy. So I want to also think about it's connecting to, for me specifically, if we're talking about my story, my growth has been connecting to a higher power. When I'm in a relationship with God, and when I center that in my life and make sure that everything flows from that, then I feel more at peace, and that peace brings me joy when things are tumultuous or turmoil. That's something that I try and share, that I want to spread, that I really want to be like that light and the safe haven for people. But I don't want to be, I want to be realistic, that things are hard and things are tough for a lot of people, but I also think that we're also a tough people, and so that we're able to overcome and do what needs to be done, not only to survive, but like I said earlier, to thrive, and to be who we needed when we were kids, so that we can be that person for someone else coming up as well. I'll stop there.
Wow, we are out of time, but listen, I want to scream. I want to scream because everyone on the panel nailed it. What are the takeaways for tonight? We are out of here. Who wants to go first? Who would like to go first? What are the takeaways for tonight?
I'll say just to, and I hate to keep going first, so I'll say this and then be quiet. But first off, before we go, I want to thank everybody else that was here, because I learned also so much from them. I'm taking away the importance of being silent, going in with yourself, and how art and dance can really transform. Music as well is so healing, and to really think about leaning into who you are and being whole and in relationship with yourself before you can be emotionally available or intelligent for anyone else.
Powerful, powerful. Who's next?
I think it's very important to make one clarifying statement that I believe everybody circled around tonight, and that is that if you have to pick between sustaining a relationship or gaining some other outcome, you should always pick the relationship, because outcomes, they're temporary. Sometimes they may prop you up, sometimes they may knock you down, sometimes you won't realize what you're looking for. But relationships will bring you back to the table over and over and over again. That makes relationships the absolute pinnacle of how humans interact and succeed. And I think that's what was really expressed tonight.
Powerful, powerful. Who's next?
I think that my takeaway is really leaning into the power of community, and also as far as relationships, I love how it was mentioned the we, because a lot of times it gets very, very I focused, but you can't be in a relationship and not think about the we. So I love that, considering even the we in the community, taking ownership, that it's everyone, all of us together. So those are my takeaways.
On point, on point. And take us home.
I would say that one, reflection within self, as well as reflection in community, art, community relationships, and building connection, per se. Those are like my main points that I really got from everything.